Hi everyone, welcome back to part two. Good time because we're about to get into like the meat and potatoes of Kyle's trade deadline last week, and what perfect person to have on the show to talk about it than Kyle to tell you the scenario. But I was heavily involved as well as I drove up the price on a lot of those players. Um, so let's talk about this
Absolutely.
first trade. I guess for
I,
context,
I, I got to talk about like this trade and the next trade like all in one because they're all involved,
yeah,
right?
because I made you a
So
really aggressive offer the night that you put your post out, right? I offered you a 7.88 for Bobrovsky and Coleman.
that's right. So you offered a 7.88 for Borowski and Coleman. Fantastic offer. Blake Coleman's having a career year this year. Borowski is worth a lot on his own, and you know obviously since I'm selling, I want to get maximum value. So, I started to put it out there. I got an offer from Travis as well, but it was a similar offer, not quite as nice as yours, but it didn't include Coleman. He just wanted Bobrovsky. Because he offered me something like a seventh, eighth, and like a 15th to start or something like that.
There were three
Uh,
pickup grades in there.
Three, and you had two or three and Coleman. And then, I just kind of ventured out and said, hey, like, is there anybody interested in getting Coleman? You know, because I I felt that Coleman was worth money on his own, away from like the whole Bobrovsky thing, because Travis wasn't interested in Coleman. Um, but you were interested in Coleman and Bobrovsky. So just trying to get maximum value. I put that out there. And so there's a lot of back and forth. And you and I are sitting at the table discussing this while I'm getting texting Travis and some other people who are interested. I had an offer for Coleman from somebody else, but it was not nearly that nice. And kind of last minute uh, Patches made an offer for an eighth on Coleman, and that was kind of I'm like, well, okay, so Coleman's off the table because I'm going to take the eighth for Coleman because I already have a decent offer for Bobrovsky, without Coleman. So then you said, okay, whatever, let's throw Fox in there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. All right, I'm going to sell Coleman, but then I'm like, you know what? Fox is worth some money too. I'm going to see if I can sell him. So I put Fox out there, and then and sure enough, Patches comes back and he's like, yeah, I'll take Fox for a ninth. Um, so I'm like, okay, so that's off the table. So then that goes back. Um, and then you and Travis have a similar offer at this point. I think Travis is like a 7.8 and a 10th or an 11th, and you're 7.88 and throwing in, I think it was Claude Giroux, right?
There was someone that we were like, we'll look at the player, like let's just get the base done.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. So, I had two aggressive offers, and then simultaneously, I had a similar offer from Dan. And this is where things kind of got interesting, right? Because I was kind of struggling, like who I was going to sell to. And Dan offered me a bit of an out because one, Dan still has sixes, right? And I'm more interested in getting a six for Bob's if I can. Uh, and so, I approached Dan, said, hey, if you give me a six and an eighth, we can make this deal work. And then that's the end of it, right? And then I don't have to choose between you and Travis because like they're both like really good offers. Um, but he came back and he's like, oh, absolutely, I'm not paying more than a six for Bobrovsky. And you know, this kind of like this was Dan's trade to lose, really, in my opinion. And I just didn't understand the mentality of not paying more than a six. And this is the way I look at it, and maybe you guys out there can tell me I'm wrong. I'm like, if we were restarting the draft, right? And, you know, we have our first, second, third, fourth, and fifth round pick. I think it's safe to say, and maybe you'll disagree with me, Shane, but I think by the second round, everybody will have chosen their first goalie. Is that fair to say?
Knowing what we know now, I'd say at least 90% of the league would have chosen their first goalie.
Right? There's some elite forwards that are going to go first, right? Your Connor McDavid's, McKinnon, whatever. So, probably at least like 50 to 60, maybe even 70%. we'll take a goalie in the first round. The rest will take elite forwards. The rest of the elite forwards will go in the second round, along with I would say probably at least 15 to 16 teams will have a goalie by the second round. Bobrovsky is ranked is the eighth highest ranking goalie in the league according to stats, and he plays on the Florida Panthers, right? So
Who are a good team.
Bobrovsky,
They're gonna do a lot for him.
so the Florida Panthers, right? So Bobrovsky, if we were redoing the draft, Bobrovsky is either a first round pick or a second round pick, right? And you know, my issue is that you're telling me, oh, I'm not paying anything more than a sixth rounder. I mean, that's your business, but like, it's not a competitive offer, right? Because you want a first or second round pick for a sixth. That's a joke to me, right? And that's why some of these players have to go for more than a sixth, because you cannot trade a first or a second round pick. So you have to trade a sixth with another high draft pick to get that kind of quality player, you know?
To get the
And
really good players, you need to pay a premium.
yeah, and I don't even think a sixth and an eighth is a premium for Bobrovsky. And I'll tell you, like, I took the draft picks that I got from that day, and I made a lot of aggressive offers on some elite players, and they all got shut down. And I'm not saying those were the wrong decisions by any of them, you know, but by all means, they probably made the right decision. I offered for some players two sixes, a seventh, and an eighth for some players, right? Shot down. And they didn't even think about it. So like, why do you think you're going to get Bobrovsky for six if like I'm going to get like a high end? I can't even get a high end forward for two sixes, a seven, and an eighth. And that's because there's players in this league, a lot of players who are worth far more than a sixth round pick.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, and again, Dan shot himself in the foot by not valuing a goalie correctly. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't know what your take is on that, Shane.
My question is, like, I've been saying for a long time that Dan's goaltending is his weakness. This was an upgrade on his goaltending. What is he gonna draft with that pick? It's gonna be a late sixth rounder. There's not gonna be a starting goalie out there. You
No.
could have upgraded your goalie keeper base with that one move by moving two good picks. You already had offers on the table with multiple good picks. Yeah, they weren't a six, but they were multiple high picks.
Yeah.
And he just tried to get away with, like, I'll pay this or I won't pay it. And that's not doing his team any service in the long run, in my opinion, right? It's not my picks to play with, but he lost out to Hellebuck this year because of that, because he wouldn't pay that second pick, and he lost out on Bobrovsky now because of it.
Yeah. I just think, Dan's a great GM, and he's a bit stingy with his picks, but like I don't think he's necessarily valuing some of these players correctly when he's trying to get in on some of these deals. But I mean, that's his choice to make, obviously. But yeah, that's the other thing too, right? Because some high-ranking players go back in the pool, but those high-ranking players that go back in the pool, there might be 3 to 5 of them every year. And if I'm getting somebody who makes the playoffs, their sixth rounder, I'm not getting access to those players who get thrown back into that pool with that pick.
That's it.
Like
You're
even
gonna
if
get good players with those picks, but you're not gonna get top tier,
no, so
especially
like
goalies.
oh, that's it, right? It's not like if I'm trading for Braden's sixth round pick, that's worth something, you know. But in terms of a late sixth rounder, meh. But I really wanted to sell it, Dan. It didn't work out, and then I had a hard time deciding. Sorry, I had a hard time deciding between you and Travis. And in all honesty, like I thought I'd get some value from Giroux, and that's kind of like, was my deciding factor. And I kind of think that was a mistake. I probably should have traded to you, because I think your deal in the end was probably a little bit better. But I don't have any regrets about it. I got a good haul for Borowski, and yeah, hopefully I can turn that into something.
Well, that was the background of that. So let's actually talk about the deal now. So with patches, you sent him Coleman, Fox, a 15th and a 17th, and you received Jenner, Gooley, an 8th and a ninth. We won't go into too much details about because we just talked about it. We know how it came about. But I think it's a good haul for you for those players. I valued Coleman at about an eighth. Um, and I'd say Fox between a eighth and a tenth. So I think you did good getting a good return for your players. It made patches a little more dangerous, so I think it was a good deal for him as well. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, yeah, I thought it was a good deal. I was happy to get the haul that I did. I thought it was fair, and best of luck to Patches.
Then there's the Bobrovsky trade. So ultimately, Bobrovsky and 318s went to Travis, and you received a Tays, a seventh, eighth, and a tenth.
Yeah, and again, I would prefer to receive a six for Bobrovsky, but a seven, eight, and tenth isn't too bad. Um, you know, I was only planning on keeping one keeper. I got Kachekov. He's great. I was thinking about keeping a second keeper this year, but I think I'm going to pass on keeping a second keeper. And, if I get some value out of one of my starting keepers, might as well do it. I was pretty happy with this. I think it's a great deal for Travis. This really makes Travis into a huge threat going into the playoffs.
As long as Skinner and the Oilers can hold it together, Travis has a workable tandem now, right? So it was a good move for Travis. I'm not gonna say it was a bad move for him. I was neck and neck in the same offer for him, right?
Yeah,
I understood what Bobrovsky could do. I was under the impression if I got Bobrovsky, that it would have been maybe mine to lose this year. I think that would have put me over a lot of teams in the league. It did not go that way. It went to Travis, so I think that puts him in a more dangerous spot too. It was a good deal. You got a good haul. I think it was good for both of you.
agreed.
Then a small time trade. Derek moving Tolvanen and a 16th over to Travis for Couture and a 14th. What do you think of this one?
Again, this is probably one of those moves where you're too many centermen and not enough wingers, and getting a little bit of an upgrade there. Small move, but a good one for both parties.
I think he's been looking for grit now. Now that he moved all this stuff around, he wants a little grit. So I think Tolvanen just hits a little more, and it was a
Mm,
minor deal, minor tweaking now for him. Derek's still active. Receiving Ekman Larson and a 13th from Daltrey in exchange for Ghost Spare and a 14th. What do you think of this?
yeah, it's decent. Small price to pay, and hopefully Ekman Larson can keep doing what he's doing and maybe improve a little bit. Not a bad deal.
Yeah. Um, then this was at the point where Sean had put out his "I'm selling" message, and I heard somewhere down the line he was a little disappointed with the results, but a lot of people just spent a lot of resources, right? Um, so then I come along and I made him what I think is a pretty good offer for two players that he's probably not keeping. So Le Champion received Matt Duchene, Alex Ovechkin, a 12th and a 16th for Logan Cooley, Adam Henrique, a 7th and an 8th. His 8th.
Oh,
what,
nice.
what do you think of this trade?
It's a good deal. Alex Ovechkin has had a less than stellar season. Matt Duchene, still a serviceable player. Um,
Actually, he has
he gets
he's having a good year this year.
so he's back to old form, eh?
He's at like 50 points pretty much. Eight
Yeah.
game-winning goals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, something that you desperately need.
That's what I went
Um,
shopping for.
yeah, and Ovechkin is heating it up. So I like this deal for you. Add some a little bit to your 1-2 punch there, and it's strange to see Ovechkin under a new ownership, you know?
I was saying that, this year I took everything from Sean. We started off the year and I took Hellebuck from him. Then a couple weeks ago, he became Shane's bitch. So his regular season dominance is taking a back seat this year against Team Ramrod. Then I took Ovechkin, the last part of his former franchise. Now he just doesn't know what to do. He has to rebuild. Like when I start taking everything from him, I
Yeah,
was very pleased with that. But Ovechkin, I figured it was worth an 8. Shane's been playing so well that I figured I could pay a 7th for him. That was my logic. I wasn't paying the 7th for Ovi. The 8th was always my offer for Ovi.
yeah. Like at the very least, Ovi's going to get you a lot of shots and a lot of hits, right? And you know, and if his shots start going in the net, then you're going to get a lot of goals out of that. So, I mean, it's not bad. It is a little bit of a risk, but
He's
I think
hitting
it's a
though.
it's a
He's hitting and shooting. Like,
yeah, it's a minor risk, and he already got a lot of goal scoring. So
yeah,
you know, if you get some from him, great. If you don't, you're still getting a lot of other good stuff.
that's it. I looked at him more like a grind upgrade compared to some of the guys I was running. But yeah, I went out shopping with my last remaining good pick and picked up a goalie. Um, so I picked up Peter Mrazek and a 10th from Casey for Owen Tippett and an 8th. Now, what do you think of this?
Great deal for you. It helps you out in terms of getting more goalie starts and helps you get some puts you on the board and more competitive with Travis and Nick in terms of like saves and wins. And I know it's Chicago. You're
He's not
not
going to
getting
win
a
a lot, but
it's not going to win a lot, but it's definitely like for saves at the very least. And especially since you have Hellebuck, he can ride out a bit of a bad goals against average potentially. So,
he's actually been really
it,
solid of late too.
he has been playing well. He's got I think, a shutout recently. So, hopefully he stays hot for you. And, it's not Bobrovsky, but it's a consolation prize and it might do you very well as you get into the playoffs.
Especially with the news that came out today that Freddie Anderson is going to start skating this week.
Oh, there you go.
So
Yeah, yeah, I think Ranta is done because
I think
Kovechkov
so.
he's not injured anymore. They sent him to the AHL for conditioning essentially.
Yeah, because they don't have a
Um,
game till after the break.
that's it. So that's why they sent him. So he'll be playing, and then Freddie will get back, and they'll probably split crease time if I had to, take a guess.
Yeah, I would say that's probably their end game. He's probably not coming back till end of February, uh, at the earliest, right? So if anything, he'll just be a boost to my playoff push, for me. So
Yeah, exactly.
Tippett on the move after. Oh no, I'm skipping one. Sorry, Jake Allen and a 13th going to Casey for Periaco and a 17th going to Captain Crunch. What do you think of this?
So Jake Allen's going to Casey.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, because he had to pick up a goalie.
you just
Yeah,
moved Mrazek, so
yeah. That's a decent pickup. Montreal goaltending situation is a mess,
I
so who
mean you
knows how
got the
that works
pickup
out.
grade in there too.
Oh yeah, well there you go. So
I think that
good
was a good
deal.
deal for him.
Yeah.
Uh, Casey, Essa Lindell in a 9th for Owen Tippett in an 11th. Going to Corey. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's a good move for Corey, especially if depending how long Tippett stays on the IR, right? So
He
probably
won't be long. He won't be
yeah,
long.
still be in time for a little like end season playoff push, and so pretty cheap, and probably will be a good payout for Corey.
Yeah, I think so. I like Tippett a lot. I didn't really want to move him, but um, with Ovi coming in, like he does everything a little better than Tippett. So I'm just like, all right, he's expendable now.
Yeah,
Tanev in a 16th going to the dumpster fire. Corey picking up Picard and a 15th.
yeah, he gets moved right after. So is this all part of the same?
Oh, it might be. These are all the little Sunday deals.
Are they? Yeah, I was gonna say. Um,
We're not going to go over all that.
No. Is there any other like real trades?
No, no.
There's Picard for Vanacek.
That was yeah, I guess that's a real trade. That's the only
Yeah.
one that's like a real trade. So Picard in 11th going to Derek for Vanacek in a 13th. So I guess that other Picard trade wasn't it was just he was starting and Corey probably wanted that start.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
He moved them after to a different GM, so I don't really have much to say on that. I think
Yeah, it's fine.
not sure which goalie will be better in the long run for this season. Probably the one who plays for Edmonton, but
Probably. I mean, Vanacek is going to get some more ice time because Nico Dawes isn't doing it in New Jersey. So,
they're gonna make a trade. I think they're gonna pick up a goalie.
yeah, very well could.
If they want to seriously compete, I think they need something solid right now. So there's some options out there. All right, big matchups this week. As we get closer to the playoffs, each week's gonna get bigger and bigger, right? So, first matchup we're gonna talk about: Le Champion, Team Ramrod, 10-4-2 in third place, taking on the 8-8 Captain Crunch, who sits in ninth place. Who do you have?
You know, all logic should say you, but you historically have a losing record against Domo, and I'm going to have to choose history here. I'm going to choose Domo.
You're entitled to your opinion, even though it's wrong. But Team Ramrod is going to take it to Domo. His team is not anything close to what it used to be. Uh, his strategy's finally caught up to him. He has like nothing really left to move unless he moves one of his big name players. And he's not gonna be able to just cycle through all this. So Team Ramrod is built for the long haul, and they're gonna take it to Domo this week.
And just for context, I offered a 6.6784 Miller this past week. So I thought he might take it because I'd give him a lot of like things to play with, but no, he was pretty disciplined.
I think Kachuk and Miller are guys that he can't move. Anyone
Yeah,
else, like if I were him, I'd be, oh yeah, I can entertain that at least.
yeah. Oh,
Maybe
so
Hughes. I don't like to say keep it defensive. When I look at his roster, Hughes is probably one of his better players. So, but Team Ramrod for the win. Bob's Nugs, 11-5 in second place, taking on Wild Husky Hockey, the Braden bye week, 0-15-1, 16th place. Who do you have here?
yeah, I got Bob's Nugs here, despite this nice early lead by Braden. That's not going to hold. Travis should have this easily.
Yeah, I could never pick Braden. He has 0 wins. I am not giving him any credit because there is none due. I just think Travis is gonna continue rolling along here and just keep racking up some points. Paulie the goalie, 7-9-0 in 10th place, taking on Patches O'Hooligan, 8-7-1 in 7th place. Who do you have here?
Well, we have a case of a seller versus the buyer, and you know I got to go with the buyer, and so I'm going to go with Patches.
Yeah, I agree. I still think Sean has it left in him now. He has no heart left. Everything that he ever cared about is on Team Ramrod now. And it's just, I think that hurts him even more.
Yep.
So, Patches for sure. NA Goalie Paradise, 6-10, 14th place, taking on the 2023-24 Dumpster Fire at 6-8-2 in 12th place. You know, this is jockeying for position at the bottom there. Who do you got here?
I'm going to go with Mark for this one, but this will be a close week.
Yeah, I think it will be a close week. Just for fun, I'm going with Casey.
There we go.
I like his Dallas boys, and if they go off, they'll go off. But other than that, there's not much bright spots on either of these teams right now. So,
No.
y'all try the beef. 8-8, sitting in 8th place in the final playoff spot. Taking on the 10-6 Saucier Pass, who sits in fifth place. Who do you got?
I mean, like Daltrey has that 1-2 punch of Reinhardt and McKinnon, and it's hard to go against that. So long as Daltrey starts his lineup, he can win. He has a good chance to win any week, and I'm going to continue to pick Daltrey here. This will be a close week, but Daltrey just has some top guys on his team, and he's going to be tough to beat.
I'm also gonna go with Daltrey. I don't usually go against Corey. Um, but I feel like Daltrey's team is kind of, like you said, on the upswing right now. I'm gonna trust that he's gonna set his lineup. He's gaining a lot of momentum here. His guys are playing really well. And Corey, I think there's issues in your locker room. I hear you're harboring an alleged rapist, and I don't know if
Well
Team
down.
Ramrod can support that. So,
Yeah. Sort out your shit, Corey,
yeah,
or you'll get canceled.
put him on indefinite leave at least. Come on, like.
Yeah.
Forgot about Dre. 12-3-1 in first place, taking on the 9-6-1 Sorokin These Nuts. Sitting in sixth place. Who you got here?
I think Neil's going to be hungover from his Jamaican vacation, and
He's not coming back.
Dre hasn't forgotten how to play fantasy hockey. So going with Dre all the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Dre. I'm not gonna go against the guy in first place. I think it's gonna be a interesting week because Neil does have a really good team, but he might be, who knows, jet lagged. Like he might, lucky for him, it's the All-Star break, so it's a double week. That's something that could play a factor too. That's a double
Yeah.
week. There's a lot that can go wrong for a good team in a 2 week span, right? So
Yeah. The crazy part is though, like there's far less games being played in this 2 week span
oh
than
yeah.
a normal week. So like really this week, anything can happen with those less games. So like players having individual performances, like good ones, is going to be a huge factor in a lot of these games.
Yeah, a lot of these matchups might come down to that, right? So, um, I'll be interested to see the results of this one. I think, is this one of the only ones where it's like a playoff team versus a playoff team? Oh no, we got Corey and Daltrey as well.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
probably
this is interesting for standings because if Nick wins, which I assume he's going to, it's a chance for Daltrey if he wins to take over and bump Neil down. So it'll be interesting to see the jockeying after this week. Mentally bedarded. 7-9 in 11th place. Taking on Svechmia Drink 10-6-0 in fourth place. This is the man who could have had Bob's. What's going on this week? What's who you got?
I'm gonna go with Dan, and it's more due. I don't have like a lot of confidence in Kyle's team, so I'm gonna go with Dan. Although Kyle did a couple of pickups, and maybe we'll see some positive changes this week. We'll see.
I'm actually gonna go with Plums. I don't know. I just feel I like some of the moves he made. I think it just balances his team out. No, actually, I'm going to switch that. So I just remembered Bedard and Eichel are both out, and
Yeah,
I don't like that. So I think injuries are preventing me from putting my faith in Plums.
yeah, definitely two huge names to be out.
Like his two biggest forwards, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna go against you, Plums. Sorry, I wanted to pick you, but not.
injuries.
Team Rocket 6-8-2 and 13th, taking on Fantasy Football is over 4-10-2 and 15th. Who do you got here?
Well, I in the 9 years we've been playing this, I have never beat Derek once in nine
Wow.
in 9 years. So I I got to pick myself to finally break that curse. But if somebody picks against me this week, I'm not going to take offense. I've never beaten Derek. It's sad and pathetic.
I think this one could go either way, but you've convinced me to go with Derek.
You
You've never
should.
beaten him. I'm going to go with history, as someone once said 5 minutes ago.
That's right.
I'm gonna go with history here, and history is gonna indicate that Derek is gonna spank you. So
Yeah, he's got my number.
yeah, so some interesting matchups as not a super tough schedule for some of the tough top teams, right? So they should just keep separating themselves a little bit, and I think Braden, like we said earlier, Braden has it locked in for the Caucasaurus this year. I don't. Is it even mathematically possible for him to catch someone?
Yeah, it's mathematically possible for him to catch Derek.
Hmm. They play again this year too.
Oh, do they? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's funny.
That was his tie. That was that was Braden's
Oh,
only point.
shame on you, Derek. Shame.
It was interesting to see all the trades. Actually, have some trades to talk about. I want to thank you for your time joining me here, Kyle.
Not my pleasure.
Everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show this week as we gave a lot of our opinion on well all the trades that we were involved in essentially. So
Yeah.
we were involved in a good number of those trades. So
And feel free to come on the show and tell me or tell us how we're wrong. Trash talk a little bit.
yeah, exactly. Even if you put it in the chat, call me. I love it. It's just it gets the conversation going, right? So
That's it.
um, it'll be a good week. Good luck, everyone. Except you, Domo. Fuck yourself.